So I've gone down a rabbit hole that I shouldn't have gone down, and on top of that, me making this video is already bad enough because I know I'm potentially, losing my respect from some people, and I guess more specifically, maybe even tarnishing my reputation, which I understand. However, I am willing to take the risk because I have important messages that I want to make. Most of what I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be, I'm going to try to make it more educational, and I can't go too much into detail, right? Otherwise, I think I'm going to get in trouble. But essentially, what I've done is I spent $2,000 on some online services, trying to hook up with random strangers, which I shouldn't have done, obviously, because that's stupid, and one, it's very, very dangerous. Um, that's going to be what this video is about. It's those specific services and what I did. I also did maybe send a photo that I shouldn't have, and what they referred to it as sexting, which is also one. It's obviously dangerous because you're now sending personal photos, but also it's in general it's just very gross. Is I guess the only way I can put it is gross, and you probably shouldn't do it. However, if you are going to do stuff like that, right, you always want to have consent. And before you send photos or anything like that, make sure the other person that you're sending it to is comfortable and they're willing or want to see those photos. Otherwise, you shouldn't do that, right? Because that is very wrong. It's just like any of this in general. If you're going to do any of this type of stuff, you always need to make sure that the other person is comfortable and have consent. But more so than not, that's what I ended up doing. I let my guard down. I have poor self-control, and even though I have a crazy amount of self-awareness, the problem is you can have a crazy amount of self-awareness and still do bad things, right? There are plenty of people that smoke and drink, and that's their vices. That's their way of understanding. And once I started getting into this stuff, it opened up a different world. Right? I understand now, like why these people do the things they do, why they smoke or do drugs or things they shouldn't do. It's because of their vices. Their vices are essentially their way of coping. It's their way of making themselves at ease. Right? It's de-stressing. They use these things to de-stress, but the reality is, even though they're doing these things to de-stress themselves, they don't realize it. But in the long run, it's going to cause more problems and create more problems. Like even like the new job that I got at this kitchen place, production plant, whatever you want to call it, right? The guy that I'm working for, right, he's 50 years old, and he's wise beyond his years, right? He's 50 years old, and he told me when he was my age, I'm 23. When he was my age, he did the same thing, but he was hooking up with girls 2-3 times a week, using these services. So imagine how much money you're spending. And he told, him, and another coworker were laughing, and he was laughing because he was like, I could have saved so much money. Like I could have had a house if I didn't spend all that money on the girls, right? I could have had a house or maybe even a nicer car or something like that, right? But I got too distracted, and that's the power of money, lust, ego, and things like that, greed, lust, right? I didn't mention that already. I think there's this, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's this angel, his name was Lucifer. I think it's from Christianity. I'm a little bit ignorant on this, right? So sorry if I'm only know a little bit of Christianity, right? But someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Lucifer was an angel, and then he became a demon. So it just goes to show you, no matter how morally right or self-righteous or a good person that you say or think you are or whatever, you're not susceptible to doing bad things. No one is really susceptible to doing bad things, which is a really scary part. Doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't trust people, because trust is a really important thing. But once you gain trust from people, and then you lose trust, it's very hard to gain the trust of that person back. So that is another really important one as well. And if I didn't, sorry for repeating myself already, but going back to what I said, right, I'm going to be spending the $1,000 I got back will be spent on therapy or something like that. I'm trying to find somewhere nearby and get help. More so is not even, obviously it's therapy, because one, if something up here isn't working, but it's, like I said, I need a lot more work when it comes to self-control. If I didn't already mention this already before, right, I'm 23 years old. have a high testosterone, have high libido, have high sex drive. It's like really difficult, guys, for me to control it. It's like it really is. Unless you're a guy around my age, maybe a little bit younger, then you know what I'm talking about. It is very hard for me to control these things, right? And that's the thing, man. Is going back to that said, there's just poor self control, and pressure, which really I shouldn't even care about the pressure, right? That's one thing that people talk about a lot as well, is losing your virginity or whatever. But it even gets even worse because it's not even just people aren't even obsessed about losing your virginity now. It's about hookup, right? It's about how many what's your body count? How many people have you slept with, right? If you slept with 10 people, 15 people, 20, 30 people, it's gross, it's disgusting. It's not in any form morally or ethically probably right. And in general, if you really want to think more deep about the repercussions of this, because I actually read online, right? I've been reading a lot of online posts, people sharing their own experiences with these services. Is yes, right? Yes, if you never had an experience before and you're a virgin and you do one of these things, sure, you gain some experience off of it. But at the same time, right? What happens when you get into a real relationship with someone, right? So you're very emotionally, romantically invested with someone, right, who really cares deeply about you, and they ask you, have you ever slept with someone before? And then you tell them, yeah, I use these services and I slept with so and so amount of girls. It's not a good look, and it makes your life even more harder when you try to find a real relationship, and if that person cares about stuff like that, right? So that's the point of this video. And to end off, what I'll also say as well is, I think a lot of people that do end up turning to these services, in my specific case, right, because maybe you're more introverted or maybe you don't have the social skills that are very, very good, so you decide to do this. Social media and everything like that, I'm not entirely blaming social media and all that stuff, but in general, I think it's caused a lot of people to have a lower self-esteem for sure. I don't think, like, honestly, I don't think I'm like a very bad looking guy. It's just I have a low self esteem, which is the craziest part about that. You know, I've been hitting the gym for 2 years and 3 or 4 months now, right? So I'm coming up to my third year, even though I haven't been to the gym like 3 weeks, right? Because I've just been busy working. But even hitting the gym and building more muscle, I thought that would make me more confident. And the reality is, I didn't do shit, and I still have a poor self esteem. So that itself is a whole entire different lesson. But what I'm basically getting at with that is, you can have all the money, whatever you want in the world, looks in the world, and you can still feel like nothing. You can still feel like going to low self-esteem, feel like you're not worth it or you're not good enough still. No amount of money or looks where will save you from that. So that's the reason why, going back to said, why therapy is really powerful, is if I can find someone who can tap into that and help me with that. But anyways, guys, yeah, I know it's a super random video, but I want to get that out there. I think it's a really important message. I hope you guys take care of yourselves. And go back to that last point, right? Self-care is really important. You're probably worth more than you think you are. So yeah, that's going to be for me, guys. I'll see you guys.